The Witch of Blackbird Pond, Chapter 16, Part 2. Presently Kit opened the door to Prudence's timid knock and was comforted by the pleasure that rushed into the child's face. Prudence had further news of the culprits. "Nate won't be able to come to see you," she told Hannah. "They marched the three of them straight to the landing and put them on the Dolphin. But Nate waved to me as he went by." "You know Nate?" Kit asked the child, surprised. "Of course I know him. He comes to see Hannah. Last time he listened to me read." Why should it disturb her to think of Nate's sharing the reading lessons? Kit wondered, trying to be reasonable. How many of his visits had she missed? She was a little jealous to think of them all here cozily together while she was hard at work in the cornfield. Annoyed at herself, she picked up the sail-wrapped bundle. "He sent you a present, though," she told Hannah brightly. I have another notice and note signpost. Again, I felt like this was a tough question at the beginning of this paragraph, where it says, why should it disturb her to think of Nate's sharing in the reading lessons? Why does it bother her, and what exactly is she feeling? It says it disturbs her. In what way does it disturb her is what I'm wondering. And what does this tell me about Kit? I wonder what this shows me about her character. Hannah ruefully surveyed the length of gray woolen. "Now isn't that kind of Nate?" she exclaimed. "So soft and tight-woven, much too fine for the likes of me. But thee knows, the truth in these old eyes of mine can't even see to thread a needle." "Then Prudence and I will make you a dress," promised Kit blithely. "Can you sew, truly?" demanded Prudence, overwhelmed at still another accomplishment. "Of course I can sew. I never made a woolen dress, but I learned to embroider before I was your age. I'll borrow a pattern and scissors from Nurse Mercy, and you'll see." While the reading lesson began, Kit spread the cloth on the floor, turning it this way and that as she had seen Mercy do, trying to plan how to use the length to the best advantage. The idea of cutting and sewing a dress by herself was novel and exciting. "Will you really let me sew some stitches?" asked Prudence, watching her with shining eyes. "Really and truly," promised Kit, smiling back at her. What fun it would be to make something warm for pretty for Prudence, she thought with longing. Did they never give the child anything decent to wear? Those skimpy sleeves did not even cover her elbows, and the scratchy, linsey-woolsey cloth kept her thin shoulders constantly twitching. She knew she could never give Prudence even the smallest gift. The lessons were risky enough. Looking at the child, Kit felt again a fleeting uneasiness. What misery would be the child's lot if these meetings were discovered? The miracle that had been taking place before their eyes had made it all too easy to forget the danger. For Prudence was an entirely different child from the woebegone, shrinking creature who had stood in the roadway outside the school. The tight little bud that was the real Prudence had steadily opened its petals in the sunshine of Kit's friendship and Hannah's gentle affection. Her mind was quick and eager. She had memorized the hornbook in a few days' time and sped through the primer. After that she had plunged headlong into the only other reading matter available, Hannah's tattered Bible. Kit had chosen the Psalms to begin with, and slowly, syllable by syllable, Prudence was spelling out the lines while Hannah sat listening, her own lips often moving with the child's in the lines she remembered and could no longer read. We have an example of a metaphor earlier in this paragraph. In the second sentence, Kit says, "The tight little bud that was the real Prudence had steadily opened its petals in the sunshine of Kit's friendship and Hannah's gentle affection." Actually, we have two metaphors here. One, we have Spear making a comparison between Prudence and a flower bud, and how as she has spent time with Kit and learned how to read and spent time with Hannah, she has kind of opened up and blossomed before their eyes. So we have this comparison being made, which is a metaphor. I want to know, what is Spear trying to tell us about Prudence by making this comparison? And she also compares Kit's friendship and Hannah's gentle affection with the sunshine. What is she trying to say by comparing those two things? There were days on end, of course, when Kit could not manage to keep the tryst, but Hannah and Prudence were fast friends now, and she knew that the reading went companionably on. There were more frequent days when Prudence could not escape her mother's sharp eye, and other days when her small face looked so pinched and exhausted that Kit wondered painfully if the child had been punished for tasks she had left unfinished. Always before she had been able to shake off her doubts, but today she had too sharp a lesson in the retribution of this Puritan colony. For the first time, she felt a twinge of real fear. I want to talk about those last two sentences. She said that she learned too sharp a lesson in the retribution of this Puritan colony. And she's referring back to seeing what happened to Nate as the result of pulling a prank on William. And the fact that he's stuck in the stocks and he was stuck in the stocks and he was being humiliated and things were being thrown at him. And while Nate was handling it well and joking with people doing it, it was still a very harsh punishment. And for the first time, she's seeing what punishment can look like. And it says that she, for the first time, felt a twinge of real fear about what could happen to Prudence as a result of coming to Hannah's and receiving lessons, reading lessons without permission. And there's also that stigma that goes along with Hannah being considered a witch by a lot of people in the area. So she's got this real fear of what could possibly happen. And that last line makes me think that this might be an example of foreshadowing. And I wonder what is being foreshadowed. What is Spirit trying to tell us might happen? What clue is she giving us? Hannah, she said softly over Prudence's head, I'm afraid to go on like this. What would happen if they found us out? Nate is strong enough to take it, but Prudence... Yes, agreed Hannah quietly. I knew that soon thee would begin to consider that. What should I do, Hannah? Has thee looked for an answer? Prudence looked up. You won't say I can't come, Kit, she pleaded. I don't care what they do to me. I can stand anything if only you'll let me come. Of course you can come, said Kit, stooping to give the child a reassuring hug. We'll find an answer somehow. Look now, I've brought you a present too. From her pocket she drew 3 precious objects that had required some ingenuity to gather, a partly used copybook from her trunk, a small bottle of ink, and a quill pen. "'Tis high time you learned to write," she said. "Oh, Kit, now? This very minute?" "This very minute. Watch me carefully." Opening to a clean page, she carefully wrote the child's name on the first line, Prudence. Now see if you can copy that. The small hand trembled so that the first eager stroke sent a great blot of ink sprawling across the page. Prudence raised stricken eyes. "Oh, Kit, I've spoiled your lovely book." "'Tis no matter. You should see the great blots I used to make. Now, very carefully." Finally it was completely written, Prudence, in quite respectable letters without a single blot. Prudence was awestruck at her own handiwork. Hannah came to peer closely and admire.